Warning! This program contains strong adult language, violence, and brief nudity. It's everything you're looking for. Live from the Sims Tower in the Robinson Auto Group studio, we are AM 1600 WKKX.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Whispers Radio here on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog, and UPRN, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. It is 6:08 p.m., 85 degrees and partly cloudy here in the beautiful Wheeling, West Virginia. It is nice. I don't like, and this is what I don't like. I don't like when I'm working midnights and it's 1 o'clock in the morning and it's still 80 degrees outside.
Oh, I know. I've been taking Linda to work at 11:30, and I'm wearing a tank top, flip flops, and the dog's smelling like a river rat.
Well, see, when we're walking around in the mill, we have to have long sleeve shirts on, so I got to have like a little jacket on. Well, it's 90 degrees at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, see, I broke down and started my air conditioner.
Mine's been on all winter.
No, and. The bad thing is, the first day I kept going, I think the thermostat is broken. Because it was saying that it was on 80 in the living room. And I thought, well, it feels good in here. It can't possibly be 80. You know, but the air conditioner didn't kick off all day Monday. Or Wednesday. It just ran the whole day. So the next day, Kelly goes, way to go, Sarah. That's it. Break it.
Yeah.
Kelly says, of course 80 feels comfortable to you. You're used to it being 120 degrees in the house. 80 is going to feel good.
Yeah.
So this morning I get up and I thought, oh, it feels hot in here. Walk outside to take the dog up to get her beautified. And it's absolutely gorgeous outside. So I went home, turned that bloody air off, and opened all the windows. I'm terrified of the electric bills. You know?
Yeah.
Finally got a couple months where I'm not selling my firstborn to pay my utility bills.
Eric appreciates it.
Well, you know, he's cheap. He's cheap. But this is today is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it was so hot over the weekend. We went down to the river and swam like 2 or 3 times a day. But it was too hot to just be down there, you know. And that's hot when you're, in and out of the water and you're
hot
still.
at work.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
All those people, because no one wants to cook because it's so hot. So everyone comes there, and I'm like, I'm losing weight and I'm pregnant. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Sarah's a server at Olive Garden up at the Highlands. If you didn't know, will you break the headphones too?
No, it fell off.
It's like a tiny little head.
Yeah, I
it's
do.
all those big-headed guys that sit over there, all those egos. Did I say that out loud?
Huh.
Now, see, me, I need the air. I would die.
We kept the air on during all winter. All winter, the air was on.
I have to have cold air. I don't know what when I move, I am going to be like a tent. I'm going to have a blanket like over top of the air conditioner, and I'm going to be in there with it. And just be like, anytime somebody needs me, it's like, I'm busy.
See, I don't. That's what I don't. You love the cold, and you're moving south.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That'd be like me moving north.
Well, the temperature is actually the same there as it is here right now, and there's a beach. So...
Yeah, but you guys don't get tans. That's what I don't
know.
We get burned.
He gets a tan, I don't.
They walk in last week, it's like, oh, you didn't go? No, we went. We were at the beach. Where? Couldn't possibly have been at the beach.
Yeah, we were SPF 50 in it.
Yeah, I can't. I burn so easy, so bad. I'll blister and go right back to white. It's awful.
Man.
Yeah.
I don't believe. I'm from that generation. I don't believe in none of that stuff. Baby oil with iodine. That's it.
There we go. I laid out with baby oil.
She was like
I've used Mazola oil one time because we didn't have any suntan stuff. It was my last day in Coconut Grove. I thought, I am going to get this killer tan. And there was no olive oil either, because I've heard olive oil is really good.
Yeah.
So I just used Mazola corn oil.
I had a friend use Crisco.
I smelled like a salad.
I had a friend use Crisco.
You were literally cooking yourself.
And then fell asleep outside.
Oh, my.
Literally cooking yourself.
Yes.
Jeez. Give us a call, 304-214-1600. If you're out of the area, 1-866-514-1600. That's toll free. We like to hear from you. I'm Jordan Cline. She's Sarah Cline.
Hello.
And then the other she is the lovely Lola Miller, back from Quaker Steak, where she got to... Did you get any food up there?
I had steak, and then I got ribs.
Nice.
So, yes. So she got a little treat while she was up at Quaker Steak with Steve. We got him? Her? All right, our guest tonight, Miss Lisa Barretta. She is the author of The Book of Transformation. Lisa, you with us?
Yes, I'm right here.
Hi. So tell us about this book. Do you believe that you were a psychic?
Yeah, I was. I think we're all psychic. We all have extra senses that we really were never really told that we can use. So because everyone has an electromagnetic field around their physical body, and just as our physical body has senses, our electromagnetic field also has a sensing system, which, over the years it has been demonized when you hear the word psychic or someone who has some type of metaphysical abilities, but we all have these abilities.
Yeah, see, I can buy into that. I buy in that everybody has some kind of, like, if you really hone into it, can like, how do I even want to say it? You're open. A lot of people can be open to different things. And it's not necessarily, sitting around a crystal ball, charging people $60 for 5 minutes of your time.
No. There are all the props. That's what really made, these natural abilities into carniacs instead of really being respected for what they are. That's our inward GPS. That's that's the way animals have intuition and they can sense things. Their sense of smell is heightened. They can smell
their spidey
danger.
sense.
Exactly. we should also be using our senses too. I mean, once you develop and you open up psychically, or you become more aware to your extra sensing senses, you too can have psychic smell, psychic taste, psychic hearing, and you're not crazy because it's a part of our spiritual anatomy.
Well, see, I've always heard that kids tend to have a lot more of these abilities. And as we get older, we just get too busy, right, and we're bombarded by all kinds of daily, mundane stuff. And B, there's that image that, if you say you're a psychic, you're either crazy or you're a con artist. And so people will block that because they don't want to be considered that, and they don't want to accept the fact that they've got these senses.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's really been, not shown in the best light over the years. But my belief is, powers that be, you want to say that it's Big Brother or just some type of, elite who like to control everyone through organized beliefs. Maybe they don't want us to be tuned in and turned on to our natural abilities, so therefore we had to. I mean, I grew up going to Catholic schools, grade school, high school, and in school you don't talk about fortune telling, tarot cards, intuition, your horoscope. That's bad. But if you look back into ancient writings, even not only the Bible, but the Oracle of Delphi. People would line up forever, for days and days and days, to talk to the Oracle to get some insight. The Sibyls, they used to be the political readers back in ancient times. And then in the Bible, if you read the Bible, there is so much divination in the Bible, dreams, signs, symbols, numerology. And so it's not a bad thing. It's when it's abused. Just like anything, if you abuse it, it's not good. But you have to respect these, senses that you have and use it respectfully.
It's kind of like the people, that, are telling people's fortunes and stuff and saying, oh, this is from God, and then going off on, oh, yeah, you're going to meet a tall, dark man. And,
exactly.
It's like, don't do that.
In my first book, The Street Smart Psychic's Guide to Getting a Good Reading, that basically was to let people know how to look out for charlatans. Every answer that you're seeking is right inside of you. But sometimes we can't dig it out because we're too close. So if you want to go to someone who knows how to read energy and help you connect into what you've already created for yourself, actually, because we keep on creating our own reality, You know, I'm even though I've been in this business for years and years and years, you know, it's just like anything. You have bad lawyers, bad doctors, bad politicians, and you have bad psychics. So you have to be very discerning in who you go to, because when somebody is working with your energy that's very personal, I mean, they're getting into your energy, and just like you won't want anyone with dirty hands touching you, you don't want anybody, you know, with a dirty aura going into your energy either, and you have to know who you're going to, and it's a shame because, like I said, there in every profession you find someone who wants to exploit your problems to make money, and it's really not about that, and as we shift, that's what the second book, the Book of Transformation, no doubt about it, this planet has shifted into the photon belt. It's, you know, the plasma there is highly charged. It is definitely affecting our DNA, and it's making us more aware of our psychic sensing abilities. Even very acutely, we're starting to wake up to remember who we really are.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's what the whole 2012 is?
Yeah, it's about transformation. It's not about destruction. It's really not. I think the biggest destruction you're going to see is we're starting to see that, you know, a lot of the things we really bought into, like we thought our banks were safe, our money was safe, we thought our priests were here to help us, not hurt us, and, you know, our politicians were going to fight for us. We're starting to see the illusion now of what we thought was real. You know, and it's like, and how many people, not only in this country but around the world, you know, got caught up in bad mortgages and, you know, banks that have just wiped them out financially.
Yeah.
So that's the destruction.
All the
and
companies that lost their 401k, all the people out there.
Exactly, because you want to believe, you know, the false beliefs, the false structures. It's the destruction of a false belief system, where we're moving into like a higher way of knowing, more instinctively, where we sense energy now, where we're going to relate to the world more as energy and light instead of the material world. The material world's not going anywhere, but we're not going to like attach ourselves to it and identify with it solely.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is part of your book, the little synopsis on the front underneath. I guess what's that? Your subtitle. It says empowering shift pioneered by the Indigos.
Okay.
Explain that to me.
Okay. Right now, well, we really started to recognize this energy coming in back at the time of the harmonic convergence, which was back in 1988.
Uh-huh.
You know, everybody knew there was something different. Everything was shifting. And at that time, the children that were born in around that time, I have children that were born in the 80s.
Yeah, I was too.
There you go. And really, when I was growing up, no one in my classroom was ADD or on Ritalin. You know, but I even see with my own kids, very intelligent, tune into things differently. They're all creative, and that doesn't mean sit and draw and paint. They know music, even if they don't play an instrument. They respond more to the finer, higher vibrations in life.
Uh-huh.
They're indigos. These kids get bored. You cannot put them in a traditional classroom and expect them to just sit and learn logically, just being a total left brainer. These kids are more in tune to their right brain. So what happened was, instead of embracing them and say, hey, this is our evolutionary upgrade for the Homo sapien, the logical man, we're becoming Homo sentient, more of a feeling, energy sensing man. No, they medicated them. They gave them Ritalin. They said they were stupid. They couldn't pay attention in class. And, you know, but actually these kids were here to start to bring down the false structures. And if you look back, like you said, you were born at the time, you're most likely an indigo.
Yeah, I was told when I was little that I was an indigo, but I never looked it up.
An indigo is...
That's why I asked.
An indigo is, if somebody's sensing your aura or your energy, they're going to pick up the color indigo. So that's where indigo comes from. There's a lot of that color, that deep blue indigo color, which is, you know, blue is a very healing color, but when you get that deep blue, that's healing on a very deep level. And the false beliefs, like a lot of these kids that were born at that time have no tolerance for any, they see right through the false structure. So they're here to, like, wipe them out and, like, build a better world. Then the crystal kids came in. They were born in the 90s. These are the children that everyone is saying they're savants or they're autistic and, you know, they don't speak much. They're very sensitive to loud sounds. That's because their sensing abilities, the psychic senses that we all have, that we were never really told we had them.
Mm-hmm.
These kids aren't so much autistic, they communicate differently. You see.
Now, would you say telepathically?
Telepathically, and if you notice, people prefer to text instead of picking up the phone and talking verbally. Is that even a precursor to us get used to the fact that we can communicate telepathically
without a verbal language?
Exactly, and there's been cases of that. People always hear of someone who just said, "I knew somebody needed me. I just felt it. I showed up at their house and they had a problem." So you're sending out some type of a signal in your own personal airwaves that when somebody else is close to you, they can tune into it. We're all going satellite now. We're all picking up this higher wave of energy. And then beyond the crystals, you have the rainbow crystals and the star children. Once again, these names just, we don't know what to say. That's our evolutionary upgrade, but it's just that the auras are different. They're lighter. They have a different frequency, and they're more gentle. And if you even look at these kids, they even seem to have, like, it's going to sound funny, but higher foreheads, and maybe their hair is more sparse. It's because they're developing, like, that crown chakra. Their brain is expanding, but in a different way, not so much to hold, information logically, but to be able to download this information cosmically. And even though that sounds very sci-fi, it's actually a fact of that we're going through an evolutionary change.
Oh, well, look, you have a look.
Sarah and I were telepathically communicating that you have sparse hair and a high forehead, so does that mean that you're a crystal child, too?
Well, it would mean that maybe you're, like, tuning in more to this cosmic energy,
See, I'm an indigo that tunes in.
There you go.
Well, see, I'm of the generation that tuned out, so we have quite the combination sitting here.
But it's interesting because it's aside from that, everyone seems to be there's a different awareness. I've had so many clients tell me things seem different. Everybody's looking for their authentic self now. Where everybody's creative. It doesn't mean you have to sit and draw and paint or play an instrument. But thinking or just having some type of a thought, it's very creative. And a lot of people are becoming dissatisfied with sitting somewhere 9 to 5 and being on the hamster wheel and getting the same paycheck each week. They want to be more expressive. They want to start to have more say in the reality that they create for themselves. And it's interesting, as I've watched so many people walk away from jobs that they had, and it's not because they're irresponsible. They go into something else without fear because, what's fear? It's false emotion appearing real. When you drop the fear, you can accomplish anything you want to accomplish. It's when you stay in that victim consciousness that you keep yourself from really progressing and evolving. But the world is changing, the landscape of this planet is changing, and even the landscape of our galaxy is changing too. Earth is moving into a different place within the Milky Way. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I've read that somewhere else too. That that we're falling in, like, in a million years or something, we're going to collide with something else in the Milky Way.
Well, the universe is constantly changing and expanding and, banging into things. I'm surprised there's a lot of traffic out there, up in space. It's surprising that we haven't gotten pegged with something big,
right,
sooner or more often. But
especially with all the junk we've been putting up there.
Exactly. And you know what? We are not the only terrestrial planet, even though we believe that when you look up to the sky and you see all the stars, that we have the only sun that can support life. I mean, we've been taught to be ignorant, just like they were telling Columbus the world was flat.
Yeah.
And if he didn't take a chance, everybody would think if you got on a boat, you're going to go over the edge.
Well, I've noticed here lately, at least, every month or so, like if you look at like Fox News on their website, they have like a space section, like NASA's found another planet that could, sustain life. It's got a lot of the same elements as ours. It's the same distance away from their sun, which is about the same size as ours. And it seems like they're finding one. I mean, they're a great distance away, but it seems like now more and more and more we keep finding these planets that could sustain a life similar to ours.
And exactly, there are terrestrial planets. There are suns that are similar to our sun, the same magnitude. And when they even found that when they look through the Hubble telescope that there are other planets out there, other solar systems. We're not the only solar system. And the thing that's interesting as you go, we're used to like here in this three-dimensional mindset. There's, we have a past, we have a present, we think, we hope to have a future. We label everything. Everything's labeled and everything's limited,
Yeah.
But when you shift into the higher next level of consciousness that goes above just three dimensions.
I guess it'd be very faith-based.
Exactly.
You have to have faith in things.
Absolutely, because there is not time as we know time. Time will collapse where you don't start to separate your day into minutes, and you don't start to say distance is light years away, because from experts that I talked to when I was doing research for the Book of Transformation, my big question was, because I questioned everything that I put in there, I wanted to know, well, how long does it take for these spaceships? We see UFOs. Crop circles have been reported back as far back as like the 15th century. So crop circles aren't anything new.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, how long does it take to travel? And I was told, no, they know how. It's a dimensional shift. There are wormholes, just like Earth has certain ley lines or energy centers. The Bermuda Triangle, the Triangle by the Sea of Japan. These are areas where I guess you could say they're portals for energy.
Okay.
And they know how to shift in and out. That's how come people who have had sightings will say, well, I saw this, it looked like a craft, and it hovered
just
for
disappeared.
a few seconds and it disappeared because it's shifting dimensionally.
Okay.
And that's what we don't understand, because when we go to school, we're just taught biology and physics. No one is teaching us quantum physics, because everything now is going quantum. Our healing is going quantum, where we're finding out you just don't want to heal the physical body. You need to also heal the energy body.
Yeah.
There's a lot more going on now with integrated medicine.
Well, see, that also goes in with, like,
effective.
when you're talking about, like, numbers, even when I was growing up, like, you talk about, like, our deficit that's in, like, the 16 trillions. Like, trillion was a very astronomical number,
Right.
when we talked about space and stuff like that. And here nowadays, that's become an economic number, where something that we would use trillions to explain, like, space, that's how many stars there are, that's how many, and then it's, oh, that's just a finance now.
And see, like, we're trained. It's like they tell us trillion to the average working person. That's like, oh my God, if I had that much money. Then here we are. We're just like exchanging paper.
Yeah.
They're telling us it's backed by this, it's backed by bonds, it's backed by these portfolios, and and we're finding out it's all crazy. That's the illusion, because we are in, astrologically. Imagine each star being its independent radio station where it puts out a frequency.
Uh-huh.
So as we pass through the different constellations, we are in, like they say, the age of Pisces. Well, even though I'm a Pisces, Pisces is related to spirituality, religion, but also it's very Neptunian, which is illusion, actors, actresses, mask, wigs. So think about it. We've come from this, a lot of religions and organized religions and churches popped up during this age.
Yeah.
And, now we're at the tail end of it before we get into the age of Aquarius.
I was about to say, I thought we were living in the dawn of the age of Aquarius.
Yeah, we're approaching Aquarius. We're not totally out of Pisces yet. We're right there on the tip of Aquarius. And as we get in there, Aquarians rule technology, the airwaves, television, computers, also humanitarianism. And that's where we're headed. That's the transformation into being more humanitarian. And you figure...
So do you think that's happening this year?
Yeah, and also when I did my research, it's, other neighboring galaxies, which was hard for me to wrap my head around at first until I talked to experts, not crazy fringe people, I'm telling you, experts. Other galaxies, they're keeping an eye on our planet. If we obliterate ourselves, that's going to, like, throw off their ecosystem, too. I mean, can you imagine what it would do? Gravitational pulls would change, things would drop out. They don't want to see us. If we would obliterate ourselves, if we would have some type of a war here.
Yeah.
So they're keeping an eye on this planet because they know as we move into the upper echelon or the better neighborhood of the galaxy, they want to make sure that we can handle the shift in energy. And, because to them, we're a very violent planet. We can't even go into a certain neighborhood without, killing each other. So they want to make sure that this is a time where we change and that we embrace this new energy, we get with the program, and we start living more consciously And consciously means to be aware, and you stay in that moment, which is so hard because as we shift into this higher energy, a lot of us aren't used to functioning in energy this high. It's like somebody just handed us a 220 line and we're zapped, you know? It's different out there. It's the sun is different, a lot of solar flares, and it's different. Even the animals can pick it up. But the thing is, as we move into this energy, we need to be responsible with it, understand what's happening, and kind of like all connect in with each other. And that's why the Internet is great. I think that's a precursor to our transformation, because if you want to let someone know something and they're on the other side of the world, you just send them a message. And pretty soon we're going to be able to do it telepathically. But the planet's changing, and we have to know how to interact with, you know, the other galactic communities out there, because that's where we're going next.
So
We've already explored the Earth.
How would you say that we need to do that? What tips, I guess, do you have to get us better in tune with what we need to do?
Once people start to realize it, you know, let go of the fear, which is hard. I mean, we have a lot of people on this planet who have, you know, totally been living under this, I guess you could say, this veil of illusion for centuries. You know, you just need enough people to realize this doesn't work anymore, you know, and to understand that it's about being together, not being in that victim consciousness. I mean, there's always going to be a fraction of society that's not going to evolve. Not everyone's going to evolve at the same time, but,
that's right.
You know, just to talk about it and be open about it and take it out of the closet, and so it's not considered like way out, you know, woo-woo, crazy fringe beliefs, but it's more of a fact of where we're going, you know, in our next phase of evolution. They're doing studies now where they show that in Russia they did studies to show that our DNA, before we thought it would only code to protein, but there are extra strands of our DNA that actually code to frequency and light.
Wow.
So what is light? Light is energy. So we're pulling in a stronger force from our sun, and our sun is being affected by what they say is the center of the galaxy, the black hole. It's not a black hole that's going to suck us in. It's just this exotic matter. What is it? It's a tight frequency. It's so tight that, you know, it just keeps stars revolving around that black hole. You know, we're coming into a whole new band of frequency, so we're going to be tuning into this. It's, you know, when I was growing up, we had 3 channels to pick from. That was it. And then, like, you know, then if somebody in the neighborhood, UHF, it was great. We're going to go hang at their house. Now, I mean, how many channels are there? So imagine, we're evolving.
Lola knows what she's with you.
Yeah,
there you
and
go,
there's still
right?
nothing to watch. That's what's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 500 and there's nothing still.
Yeah.
Nothing, you know. But I mean, like, so what we're doing is, you know, we're moving into an era where, like, where our planet is, we are able to tune in to a higher frequency, and you can see we're just shifting. Things are different.
Well, do you think that the storms on the sun are playing into this as well?
Oh yeah, the solar flares, the solar storms that we're having.
Yeah,
definitely. I definitely, and they say whenever those solar flares go out, you know, there's usually some type of an interruption with, you know, some types of our own computer networks or our communication network.
Well, the last big one was they were rerouting airplanes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So if it can affect their radar, imagine what it does to us, because we do have that subtle body around us that, because we can't see it, we're not aware of it. But you know what? When you die, you're not really declared dead until you stop giving off brain waves.
Yeah.
You know, when you don't put out any more electromagnetic waves, then you're done. You know, it's consciousness. We have to be. We always think consciousness is the white angel on the right shoulder and the black angel on the left shoulder. Consciousness is not that. Consciousness is that field of energy around us that continues on. It downloads everything that we do, think, who we interact with, not only in this incarnation, but we keep on coming back, you know, in prior incarnations. And we think, well, we're going to measure that in years. Not necessarily, because we have to stop thinking just limits of the 3 dimensions. You go up there, no time, no borders, you know, parallel lives. This is a whole new area that is going to come in where, you know, what was considered, you know, just tucked away in the New Age section, we're going to find out we have alternative medicine, alternative science, and alternative history, because everything now is, we're ready for this information. We weren't ready for it before. We were like children who were not ready to cross the street without an adult. Now we're ready. And the thing is to educate people, but to do it in such a way where you don't scare them. You don't want to come off like you're a religious cult. And you don't want to make it so scientific that the average person who hated science in school is going to get bored. You just want to put the word out there so people know, yeah, it's a different world, it's a different place, and a lot of people are having what I call ascension deficit disorder. Sometimes
ascension deficit disorder.
Yeah,
Lola has a question real quick.
You can't concentrate anymore. You know, it's like hard to concentrate because this frequency's coming in, and it's like, wow, we're downloading it, and we don't even realize it.
Yeah, Lola.
Now, see, Lisa, I really like that ascension deficit. That's my problem. It's not age.
No.
It's that I'm big. Thank you. Thank you.
It's not age.
Okay. But what I was going to ask you is, talking about other terrestrial worlds, do you believe then that there are peoples or beings from other worlds that have been keeping track? I mean, just, I guess, to put it very simply, do you believe that we're being visited by other beings in an effort, you know?
I do.
Okay.
I believe we have been visited and still are. Maybe some of them never left. And when I was researching the Book of Transformation, I even put in there Alexander the Great. When he was going through the battle by Tyr in Lebanon,
yeah,
you know, he had a sighting. There were sightings of UFOs back in the Rama Empire, the ancient India. There have always been sightings. And, of course, in the Bible, they have the spaceships of Ezekiel, which, you know, that had a lot of press. But we, you know, they said President Eisenhower actually met with extraterrestrials, and each president is briefed on the extraterrestrials when he comes in. It's top secret, it's classified. And I believe it was the astronaut Edward Mitchell. I think he had an encounter with a UFO.
Yeah, he came out being very vocal. I
Right.
mean, not as younger, but as an older man, he became very vocal.
Well,
about
when he
his
was
experience.
no longer under the thumb of the government.
Yeah, I think he said he's like, well, you know, I'm, you know, however old he is, he's like, I really don't have anything to worry about. What can they take from me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? And the thing is, when you sit down and you talk to somebody about this, they either think you're crazy, or you know, they don't have to politely get away from you because we've been so conditioned once again to see this as fantasy.
Yeah.
It's not real. And why don't they want it to know it's real? It's like if we just said that if even though we live in the three-dimensional world, that does not mean that a point or a line, you know, the lower dimensions don't exist anymore. They're there. But, you know, we function above that. So now we're moving into, you know, beyond the fourth dimension, which we go in and out of when we dream. That's the dream state.
Huh.
We're going into the higher dimension, the fifth dimension, the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Maybe they were onto something, huh? Back then, they didn't even know. Maybe they channeled that. But
it was like
we're going
all the
there,
weed.
Yeah, there you go. That helped them, right? A lot of them
They were
focused on
transcending.
how to do, you know, what is it, ayahuasca or something? But a lot over the years, people have tried to, you know, access that higher dimension.
Well, let me ask you this, you know, while we were talking about aliens and your beliefs there, have you ever had any kind of encounter? Have you ever been taken? Have you ever, like, seen anything?
When I was little, I've told the story before in a few shows. I was about, I'd say, between 3 and 4 years old. Now, lived in a row house in Philadelphia. My father worked night work, so the only ones in the house were me, my mom, and my sister, who's a few years older than me. I have a memory, and I used to talk about it until this day. It seemed like it was yesterday, that I remember 3 people coming into my bedroom, and they didn't say anything to me, and they took me out the window. And I remember telling my mom the story that I could see the rooftops, and I went into you know, I didn't know what it was, like a building, and the steps were going around in a circle. So at the time, my mom's like, yeah, you had a nice dream. But it didn't seem like a dream to me. And I always remembered it, and every now and then I would think back to that. I don't really know what it was about, but it seemed so real. Well, about 6 years ago, someone was telling me they were reading a book about alien abductions, and it was a legitimate book by someone who actually did regressions on children or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of kids feel that they were taken out the window. Now, I've thought, if I was taken out the window, my mom what if she walked in? She would have noticed it. Now, I find out from people who have, you know, researched these and abductions and UFO sightings, they don't take your whole body. They take part of your essence, which is part of your electromagnetic field. That if
No, is that your aura?
That's we call it the aura, which has different layers. One is the template for your physical body, one is the template for your emotional body. So they can just take a portion of you and put it back. And we think, wow, how's that possible? Because, see, we think three-dimensionally, height, weight, depth. We don't think quantumly, like, can you take somebody's aura?
Now, is that...
And I heard somebody's trying to sell their soul on eBay, so I guess you can take it, right?
Is that kind of the same as like an out-of-body experience? Like the people that say they go off and travel, like astral projection and stuff like that? Is that sending your aura? Like, is that your field at all?
That is. Like, you can have an out-of-body where you can project and you can actually leave your physical body behind, but send a portion of yourself out there, which is what the ninjas do. The highest form of being a ninja is to actually become invisible. And that doesn't mean someone's looking at you and you're not there anymore. It means you can appear to be sleeping or meditating. You're not there because you've actually sent a portion of yourself somewhere else, and other people can see it. I think in my book I put the example of a pope who was on his deathbed, and a priest who knew that the pope was dying knew he couldn't make it to the pope's bedside, but the pope said he saw him there. He actually sent a portion of himself there because he so wanted to be there. He was able to transverse time and show up somewhere.
Wow.
And out of bodies, a lot of people have this feeling like you're starting to fall asleep and you feel like you can't move, you can't speak, and you want to wake somebody up and you can't. It used to happen to me, and I used to think, am I dying or something, And I'm not. And the first time I really let myself, I said, I'm just going to go. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die. And I didn't. I went out, and it was amazing. And that was back in the 90s, because I'd always had that feeling, and I was afraid to let go.
See, I would be too. Here's my fear, is that once I'd be afraid I'd get lost. And I'm not saying that to be funny. That is a big fear of mine. That's why somebody offered to do a past life regression on me, but they had to do it. We would have had to have done it, with either phones or Skype or something like that. And that was my fear, was that I would be alone, I would be off somewhere, and then something would happen, and I would not be able to get myself back.
The phone would shut off.
Well, he's snickering, but that was real. That was one of the reasons I never followed through with that, because it's one thing to have somebody with you,
right,
to
like
pull you back.
Regression.
Yeah,
you're just succumbing to your fear.
Well, I think that's a valid fear, to be lost out there somewhere. I've lost emails. Where are they?
Out in cyberspace. But you usually you'll come back, because it's just like, all right, imagine a baby climbs out of the playpen. The first time they may think, I may not be able to get back in there if I have to, but they can get back in. The first time I really allowed myself to go, that was unbelievable. I mean, like, really go. I put that in the book. I heard this loud whooshing sound. I had no idea what it was, but it didn't scare me. I had no fear. That's another thing. When you go out there, you really don't have that fear consciousness. That must just be, a thing like an earthly experience. I didn't have fear. Although I've heard stories of people that, who go out, and not naturally, but because of some type of chemical or something they take, they go out. But sometimes they get caught. They're not ready to go out. They get caught in the lower dimensions of the fourth, which is kind of like taking a wrong turn and winding up in a bad neighborhood. You don't want to be there.
Yeah.
But I went out naturally. It was natural to go out. I heard this loud whooshing sound. The next thing you know, I am looking at palm trees that are larger than life and like so high in the ground, and I went into a building, and I walked up to the reception desk, and it was a round reception desk, and elevators were to my left, and before I said anything, she told me, Raul Juliez has died, and I'm like, now I didn't even know who this was at the time, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know who it is now.
Well, what happened, this is what's even weirder, I walked back out of the lobby, I went outside, I looked around, and the next thing you know, I just felt myself, it was like I was tumbling, like through like a space or like a tunnel, but it was a cool feeling. I liked it. And I went back into my body, and I woke up, and it's like it was not a dream. That was not a dream. Now, hours later, I'm doing whatever, and I put on the television, And, the news came on, like I said, hours later, and they said, oh, sad news, this just in from L.A., Raul Juliez has died. I'm like, who is this? And they answered it for me. He was in the movie The Addams Family.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Gomez.
I ran down. My kids had, we had VCRs back then. There were no DVD players. I'm going through all their tapes, and I knew they had it, and I'm looking at it, and I see his name, and I couldn't stop holding it. I put it in. It's like I had to see this guy, and I'm like, what? Why did I know this? I knew this before it happened. I was there, and he died in Cedars-Sinai Hospital in L.A. So I called this woman who's a shaman. I don't know what happened to her. She must have died by now. She was very old back then. And I told her the experience, and I said, why this? This was weird. Why would I go there? This movie, I never even saw the movie. The kids had it. It means nothing to me. And she said, you were shown that, so you would know that you went out. And she said, you were out. It's okay to go out, because she would always go out. She was a part Native American. She would go out. She would say she would go to help where she was needed. And, she would show up if someone needed her help. And I used to think, like, wow, that sounds cool, but I wonder if that's just her, if that's possible for anybody. But after I had that experience, I totally believe that we do this. I have not a doubt in my mind. And maybe that's how come, the pineal gland, that's our portal for astral travel. And as I was researching that's, the third eye chakra. If you put your finger in the center of your forehead, that's where your clairvoyant abilities kind of get channeled in and tuned into your body. Well, as I'm researching this, I find out at one time that gland was the size of a lemon, but because we don't use it, it's atrophied down to the size of a pea, and fluoride totally shuts that gland down. It will totally shut it down. It calcifies around the gland.
And what have we been putting in us and our kids forever?
The toothpaste, the water.
Yeah.
It's like, do they not want us open? I always, and I'm not a big person who thinks that, there's always a big conspiracy, but I've become more aware that it's possible because, what would happen if everyone walked around and we were enlightened and we were aware? You know how much power and control that would take away from the people that want to keep us just like, cranking away and making the money and paying the man and not really getting any further.
See?
How many people just feel like, what was the purpose of my life? I just worked all life just to drop dead even before I could enjoy my pension.
Yeah, now you don't even have a pension left.
Exactly. You don't have a pension. So you just work forever.
Yeah. See, now this Jordan will tell you, I am a huge conspiracy theorist. Not the kind where not that crazy off the wall stuff.
Right.
But I do not believe 99% of what the government tells us. And what I do believe, I take with a grain of salt, because there are so many motives within motives within motives for everything they do. And I don't believe our government has really any power at all. That's not who's calling the shots around here. It's, I don't want to say like some secret shadow government, but
I agree with you. I totally agree with you because, Benjamin Franklin, one of the great statesmen who was, very, very, I say crucial to forming this country. He was a Freemason. He also, there was a society that he belonged to, and the society he belonged to over in England, they did, I forget what it's called now, but I can still see the logo. I think it was like 3 snakes intertwined or whatever.
Was it the Hellfire Club?
That's it. You're absolutely right. The Hellfire Club. I mean, and also the signing of the Bill of Rights had to be done at a certain day. The Bill of Rights, not the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence, but the Bill of Rights. A certain date they wanted in the month of September. I'm not sure the date, if it was 76 or a few years later, but there had to be a certain aspect between Venus and the moon. I maybe put that in my first book, The Street Smart Psychic. But
well, the Hellfire Club in itself, didn't they like meet in caves underground, like these tunnels and all kinds of crazy stuff like that?
Our politicians are probably meeting in a secret city in Washington, and
like Camp David, this underground.
No, you know where it is? It's out in Colorado, inside the mountains.
Now that's another thing about Colorado. A lot of people said, "No, look at the Denver airport." If you look at the mural on the wall of the Denver airport, there you go.
Yep.
What are they telling us? One world order, right? It's really nasty stuff. And that's how come, books like I write, the Book of Transformation, I want people to be aware. It's almost like a handbook. It's not a real thick book. It's a handbook. When you get a cell phone, you get the book, and it tells you how to get a quick start guide. This is a quick start guide to try to get in with this program before it's too late. But of course, these books, they tuck them in the little New Age section where you only see a couple hipster kids and some people who are open reading them. They're not really mainstream because they don't want them to be mainstream. Yeah,
I wish you could be on longer because I'd like to go back to autism. I don't know. I'm on 2 other shows on the air during the day, and I don't know how many times we have talked about the autism rates and how, honestly, when I was growing up, and that wasn't even a word that you ever heard.
You're right. Right. Oh, I was born in the 50s. I mean,
so was I. Was I.
Nobody was autistic. I mean, really.
Yeah, even when my son was in
nobody
school.
Nobody was on Ritalin.
Nope.
We all had cake and ice cream and didn't bounce off the wall.
Yep. We were outside playing too, and we could actually fall on the ground and not get hurt. But, but I just keep that. There has to be some reason, and they can't come up with any good explanation, particularly medically, for this increase in autism. And, if it's this transformation from Indigos then to crystal and star children, that makes a whole lot of sense. But can we ever get the medical community to take something like that seriously, to look at other reasons besides immunizations and diet?
Right. If you get vaccinated, your child's going to be autistic. And the thing is now I just read somewhere they did studies on DNA, and they see that Native Americans actually have some DNA of Northern Europeans. So, there's a lot going on with our DNA, and they're just telling us, well, we're at one time were we all together, then after the flood we, broke apart. But I like the research that the Russian doctor is doing with the DNA, who's finding out, that's in my book where I put about the changing DNA, about how it's coding to frequency and light. We're different. If we weren't changing and we weren't evolving, we would still all be, very hairy and kind of looking like cavemen or Neanderthals. We look how much people have changed just when you see photographs of people from back in the 1900s.
Yeah.
We physically have changed.
Yeah, we got taller.
Right, and like the industrial age. See, somebody's helping us. I believe it's an intervention of a higher intelligence. You want to say it's an alien race, but look how long it took them to get from the wheel to the car. But then again, look how long it took them to get from the car to what we have now. We have jets, we have trains, we have all types of transportation. We have spaceships that go in space. So the Industrial Revolution was also time it marked, and I think where they saw hey, this planet's moving in quickly to an accelerated energy. Let's get in and help them technologically too.
Does it upset you? And I'm not getting into a gay rights debate at all, but the government seems to be using this. Oh, he's evolved. Like President Obama has evolved, or so-and-so has evolved, whenever they talk about, gay rights. Does it upset you? And like I said, this doesn't have to do with the debate on, does it upset you because you're when you talk about evolving, you're talking about another form of consciousness, another form of energy that you're relating to, and they just are using it kind of for political means.
See, I think what they do, it's like they like to label people and label things, and if we can distract somebody with gay rights or same-sex marriage or something, they're not going to pay attention to hey, they're fed up with their paycheck not buying what they need to buy anymore, and let's give them something else to focus on is what it is. And as we evolve and we find out, we do possess a duality within us. We're both so very much male and so very much female. It's just that we express ourselves in the one we're most comfortable expressing. I'm comfortable being a woman, so I'm going to express myself as a woman. A man's comfortable expressing himself as a man. But, it's about, you don't judge people anymore in this new consciousness. You understand that we are a very diverse civilization, and it's about being discerning instead of judgmental, And I just think the news is just so, it exploits our weaknesses is what I think.
Well, it's a look over there. If they can distract us with
exactly.
something, we're not paying attention to the real questions in front of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, they demonize who's the demon of the moment. I mean, when I was growing up, it was, anybody who came from Vietnam or like Russia was going to
Yes.
blow up the world. And then we always have the person who we have to hate at the moment. Now it's like anybody in the Middle East is a terrorist. It's like it's always something or always somebody. But, maybe it's them. Maybe it's the guys that are sitting behind the major chessboard saying, let's work them up over this or that.
We've seen that with every major war through time, through remembered history. They have to pick a bad guy because that's what brings the masses together. Is
right.
Hate.
You're right. They've been threading it together on hate instead of the higher vibration, which is love.
Yeah.
The lower vibration is hate. And it's just like you have the keys on a piano. You have high C and you have low C. You have hate and you have love. It's the same thing, but it's how you're expressing it. It's the same vibration.
Well, how can we get your book? Because I really want to read both of the books.
Thank you. The book of transformation is available at www.newpagebooks.com. And when you go on New Page Books, you'll see different buying options for Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or if you want to support an indie bookstore, so wherever you're most comfortable shopping. And they just put up a great blog. It's called Healing in the Luminous World, which really makes you think about what are the pharmaceutical companies and the medical fields and the doctors and this healthcare, what are they doing to us now? Because you can actually have more control over your healing when you know how to tap into your own inner self. And that's a whole other show, but I know people that have walked away from tumors, But check out that blog, too, Healing in the Luminous World. I think you all enjoy it.
Okay, great.
All right, so New Page Books, are you at Amazon or anything like that?
Yes, it's on Amazon.
Here's the latest from ABC News.
Hold on.
I'm Chuck Severson. Holy Fjord.
Oops. Sorry.
We jumped the gun.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed it. And
Lisa, thank you very much. The book is The Book of Transformation. Lisa, we're going to talk to you again. This was very enjoyable.
Love it. Okay.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that scared me. I had it in yellow, and I wasn't even thinking, but so never mind. Anyway.
All right, is that it for us?
Well, I mean, we're past the point. Who cares? You were right. Again, I'm getting tired of saying this, and it's scaring me.
Tell me I'm right.
You're right, Jordan. You're right.
Oh, I get chills. I love it.
I know. I'm sure most people out there are going, she has lost her mind altogether now.
Now, I want to say next week, I believe we have a group from Vermont. A guy, he kind of gets into everything. And from my emails with him, I think you're going to like him too.
Oh, my goodness. It is batting 1,000 here. It is the All-Star break, after all.
Right?
And the Pirates are doing great.
Are they?
Oh, you don't.
I don't have TV.
Oh. I'll just say this.
Let's hear it.
I believe. I don't want to hear any of these naysayers. They all go, oh, yeah, the Pirates are doing really well. But I want to hear it.
I hate the butts.
I do, too. And
it's so limiting.
It is. And I'm telling you, I believe.
That's
and it's not even my team, really my team.
Yeah.
But they're like my second team.
But they're the underdogs that you always want to cheer for.
Absolutely.
I mean, when's the last time that they did anything good?
20 years ago, 21
They're
years
due.
ago. Absolutely.
They are due to come through.
And as I keep saying, the Tigers, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, had the absolutely worst record ever recorded in Major League Baseball. And 3 years later, they went to the World Series. So all things are possible. My Lions went to the playoffs last year.
That's right. And the year before that, they were what, 0-26?
0-6. No. Jeez, Jordan, I know you don't have TV, but my God. 0-26. So anyway, I just want to say, good job, Buccos. Have faith, Bucco fans.
Keep it up.
That's right. That's right.
Good job. Pat on the back.
But I really like what this Lisa was saying. I really do. And, there are a lot of guests that we have on. Okay, I can kind of. But I can follow everything that she was saying. And I find that really interesting about autism, and even your generation, because you guys are a little. And when you stop and you look around at some of the music that's coming of age, particularly around here, the live music, it is this 30-something group that is all of a sudden just exploding on the musical front. And so I think there is something to all of
and
this.
It's crazy. I wanted to say she was right on something, but it's always kind of iffy for me whenever we have somebody who says they're psychic on. I don't want to feed the fire per se, just because I don't need to feed any egos other than my own.
And mine, don't.
But like something she was talking about with going and just do something creative instead of having a 9-to-5 job and the same paycheck every week. Do something creative on your own. That's the exact conversation that Sarah and I was having right before we came into the studio.
Well, people have been, a lot of times. Sherry is another one that, follow your passion. And I always think that's so easy for some of these people that left $100,000 a year jobs that have pensions and IRAs and all this. It's easy to say, you know what, no mas, and they go out and start collecting shells on a beach and gluing them onto cigar boxes. It's easy for them. But on the other hand, Lisa was right. You work your whole life, and now you can't even be guaranteed that you're going to have a pension or Social Security or anything like that to fall back on. What the hell? Once your main responsibility, and that is your kids grown and at least attempting to be out of your basement.
Just do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And if you can make your own way, if you can be creative and make your own way, go for it.
Who says you have to live in a $200,000 house and drive a Mercedes?
That's right.
And
that goes with, with us moving. I'm not guaranteed a job, but I am, with the station coming that I'm going to be moving into. He needs help selling advertising. He's got a lot of creative juices flowing that he wants to do. And I'm like, you know what? I might as well just jump on board and see what we can do together. We'll see where it takes us. So, it's...
Yep, it's going to take you right to finding me a place that'll let me bring my zoo in.
That's right. I'm telling you, he did make the reference the other day. He's like, I'd really love to go all talk. And I was like, Lola.
I can do that.
You like talking. All right. Well, that is us for today.
Yes, it is.
I want to thank everybody for listening. We love you out there. Next week may be our last until August. I got to check.
Well, I've been giving that some thought. It's going to be hard the week before particularly the week before and the week after you move. Now, I don't know when you have to actually be out. The 1st?
No, we're moving. We're trucking out on the 26th.
Okay, so you can't. It's too much. It's too much. We can always run other shows until you get settled down there, and we'll just do the best stuff, which is like every week. And
you're right.
I know. And then we'll see what happens. But
then we'll pick up from there.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, go to www.whispersradio.com. We'll keep updates on what's going on. Next week there will be a live show, so tune in there, and we will decide when the live shows start back up. And always tune in for our recorded shows because they're a lot of fun. And if you call in, you'll get Lola. So that's a win.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Until next week, don't be afraid. Only believe.